Well, Jess Wilson is impressive. Before entering the Victorian Parliament at the last election, she was head of policy at the Business Council of Australia, a lawyer with experience in tax policy who advised big corporates at KPMG, and of course a former advisor to Josh Frydenberg when he was Treasurer. She's 35 years of age, a mum of a young toddler, and she represents the leafy Melbourne seat of Kew, an area under siege from the Teals. And while she's not even been in Parliament for a term, such is the revolving door of the Victorian Liberal team, she's already held several shadow portfolios, including as Shadow Treasurer, a position she was only appointed to last month. A lot will be made of the fact that Jess Wilson is the first woman to lead the Victorian Liberal Party, but if she wins at next year's November election, she will become the first woman ever elected as Premier in Victoria, given Jacinta Allen and Joan Kirner before her never won an election as leader. Well, can she do it? Well, that's the roll of the dice that the Liberal Party room went with today. Jess Wilson, welcome to the program. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You were elected unopposed. I guess a lot of Victorians would say, though, you appearing now as the leader going into Christmas has come as a bit of a shock. Brad Batten already was ahead in the polls, according to a poll out today from Freshwater, beating the Premier. So why did he have to go?
Well, the party room spoke this morning, and I've had conversations with colleagues over the last couple of days, that we needed to take a new direction. We needed to be very, very clear that we had a broad set of priorities that we could take to the next election. And first and foremost, around the failing Victorian economy. And that is what I can offer to the party room. I can take that broad agenda around the economy, around crime, around healthcare and around housing to the next election and provide that credible alternative to the Victorian people. I understand that there will be frustrations. I completely understand and respect that. But we have to put our best foot forward. We cannot afford to lose the next election. We have to do it for Victorians. Victoria is at a crossroads. And I believe I can lead our team to the next election and ensure we get a Liberal government elected and we change course.
How is he going to lose the next election, though? Because he's the first leader you've had in almost a decade who was ahead in the polls. So if he's ahead in the polls and you're his Shadow Treasurer, that's a terrific team. Why change the team?
Well, what we know is we need to win 16 seats the next election. It's no easy task. The job ahead of us is mammoth. And we know that the Labor machine is already working. But polls come and go, but to be ahead 51, 52 in the polls isn't going to deliver us the result to win the next election. We need to be well ahead in the polls. We need to see our primary vote get into the 40s, get up into the 40s to be able to actually deliver government at the next election. And I believe with the team behind me, we can do that at the next election.
So that says to me, Jess, that you are voicing the concerns that people have said off the record, that while he made ground on crime, he was a one-trick pony on crime. There wasn't enough of an economic agenda, enough of a push on issues like debt and infrastructure. Is that the heart of your colleagues' concerns?
Well, Brad has done a terrific job on prosecuting the crime message, and I think he's going to play a key role in that going forward. We know that Victorians are scared in their homes. We know that Victorians go to bed each night thinking, should I put the keys on the front table or in the drawer? What will be easier if someone tries to break into my home? Brad has done a terrific job on that, on highlighting the bail issues in this state, the sentencing issues in this state. But we need to offer Victorians a wide-ranging agenda. We have to be talking about the fact that debt in this state is soaring towards $200 billion, and the opportunity cost of that means that we won't be able to fund essential services. I'm 35 years old. I'm a millennial. I know that my generation and generations younger than me have given up on trying to buy their own home. And it's the punishing property taxes in this state that is making housing unaffordable. These are the issues we need to take to the next election. I believe I can do that. I can take that broad agenda and really sell an economic narrative and a broad narrative about why the Liberal Party will be a credible economic alternative for Victoria.
You've got a lot of supporters out there. I'm one of them. You've got a lot of critics out there who say you're too new to the job, and I'm one of them as well. Yep. This is your first term of Parliament. What do you say to Liberals like me who say, she's only just arrived, fine, put her on the front bench, she's a weapon, but has she got the experience to be leader? What would you say?
Well, I might be a new politician in my first term, but I'm not new to politics. You know, I've worked in this extensively in the federal parliament. In fact, when you were Chief of Staff to Tony, I worked in the Abbott government. I understand politics. It's something that I've grown up in with my dad being a member of parliament. The Liberal Party is in my blood. Its values, its aspirations are as relevant today as they were when the party was established. And I believe I can translate those to the Victorian people today and the policies we can deliver that actually deliver on our values. So I've got a big job ahead. I don't underestimate that. And I know that I will put the team around me to ensure that we can win the next election.
You won't have heard my editorial, but I make mention that I think you've got the energy, certainly got the intellect. I think the problem is you've got a bit of dead wood on your front bench. Are you prepared to move people on? Are you prepared to do the work yourself if your colleagues won't lift?
Well, I will have conversations with my colleagues over coming days in terms of the shadow cabinet. But my commitment is that I will work day in, day out, 36 hours a day to ensure that I am fighting for every Victorian. And I will say to Victorians who are watching tonight, I'm in your corner. I want to make Victoria a better place again. I want to bring hope back to this state. There is a malaise over this state. People just feel like things are going in the wrong direction. And I want to change that and offer a vision for Victoria that isn't this tired Labor government.
3 leaders in less than a year. Is the blood letting over? Are you confident this is the end, that they will unite behind you?
Today was a line in the sand. And I say that because I was elected unopposed, but also the team around me, the leadership team around me. It's a broad church. And that's when the Liberal Party is at its best, when we are able to bring a broad church together and move forward in the interests of Victorians and Australians. And that's what I know we've done today. And I'm very proud of the team around me and my colleagues in putting their faith in me, but also in the team we've been able to create.
Talk to me about tax, because when I've had conversations with Liberals and I've said, you must cut tax in Victoria to be credible, they point to Labor's ballooning debt and say, we can't cut tax, look at the debt. And I go, if you can't cut tax, there'll be no private businesses left in this state. You know, people are leaving with money in drove, investments not coming in. And if you grow the economy, that will also help to pay back debt. Do you have a preferred strategy?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this, and we do have soaring debt, heading towards $200 billion. It's almost unimaginable, the size of the debt, and it will take generations to pay it back. But you're right, we need to lower taxes, and we've already made a number of commitments around significant taxes to cut them at the next election, because that will drive investment back into the state. We will be able to actually ensure that we can grow our economy, we can grow the number of jobs in this state. Victoria has the highest unemployment in the nation for 19 of the past 20 months. So the data is telling us that Victoria is headed in the wrong direction. Now, that debt, it's significant, and we have to manage it and we have to stabilise it, but we also have to provide a credible tax plan that will drive investment back into the state.
What about the very political public service in Victoria, the fact that the majority of jobs created in this state over the last 12 months have been public service jobs? Are you prepared to tackle that issue? Are you prepared to even get them back into the office, something the Premier will not do? Well,
what we know is that 1 out of every 10 jobs in Victoria, are now being created by the private sector. The rest, by the government. Now, that is not sustainable in any way, shape or form. But where my concern really lies is not only the fact that the wage bill has doubled since Labor came to office 10 years ago, but it's that executive level. It's the growth of that executive level that we are seeing go so quickly. And that's where I think there is opportunity to ensure we're actually directing government funding to frontline services. We have vacancies when it comes to Victoria Police during a crime crisis, 2,000 vacancies for Victoria Police. So on the one hand, we're seeing the growth in the executive level on major infrastructure projects like the SRL, but we can't see enough cops on the beat in a crime crisis. It just highlights this government has its priorities all wrong. So I think there's a real opportunity to hone in on that.
A lot of my viewers are watching you tonight and they remember you as someone who supported The Voice, one of the few Liberals who supported The Voice. Even in Victoria, The Voice was defeated. Have you changed your mind there? Well,
I've been very clear about the treaty, that I opposed the treaty, and I spoke about it at length in the Parliament.
Would you repeal it?
Yes, we will repeal it.
Including anything that looks and sounds and smells like The Voice in Victoria?
Yeah, I think that what I saw when I looked at the treaty in detail is something that was very vastly different to The Voice. In many ways, The Voice was a concept, whereas we know what the treaty actually is about. And it is vastly different in scope and in scale. And Victorians voted no to The Voice, and I respect that. And that's the difference between me and Jacinta Allen, is I understand that Victorians have had a say on this and they don't want to see the creation of a body that potentially creates a second parallel system of governance in this state that has the potential to slow down legislation. Of course, we need to ensure that we are working with Indigenous Victorians, but I'll be firmly focused on how do we close the gap and how do we deliver outcomes and how do we do that in a transparent way.
Are you willing to undo the SLR contract, you know, the train line to nowhere, at a time when Victorian hospitals, our public hospitals, are basically not fit for purpose anymore? So said a report last week. It desperately needs billions of dollars of funding. Are you prepared to tear up contracts? So
what I have said time and time again, and what is our position, is that when coming into government, as any responsible incoming government would do, we will pause that project and we will review it. We'll review the contractual arrangements, we will review the financial arrangements, and of course, we'll review where the construction is up to. Because we don't have any visibility of the contracts. This government is arrogantly signing contracts for a project that is unfunded. As you know, in the budget, a line item next to the SRL that says TBC. This is a project that will cost at least
this is a Dan
$35
Andrews
billion.
playbook with the East-West...
Totally.
Yeah.
$35 billion unfunded. Now, the feds are saying they might add a little bit more, but they've only provided about $2 billion to date. It's going to cost over $35 billion. This is a project that will only be funded through higher taxes or more debt, but under this government, most likely both.
In Tasmania, just the other day, a man who raped his daughter wanted to be put in a women's prison, and the Tasmanian Premier, a Liberal, said no. We know, quite famously now, Leah Finocchiaro said no blokes in women's jails in the NT, not under my watch. Not so in Victoria, not so in South Australia. Where do you stand on the issue of biological men in a women's prison?
Look, I don't think there is a place for biological men in women's prisons. I think that there is a need to ensure that people, women in women's prisons feel safe, and that is something that I'm prepared to stand up and say I'm not going to stand for.
I think you'll have surprised some people with some of those comments tonight, Jess Wilson.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Big job ahead.